Well, I appreciate everybody being here, and definitely excited for the season that's ahead and the opportunity that's in front of our football team. Grateful for the work that our players have been putting in throughout this off season. Coming off of disappointing results from a year ago, but excited about the core of this football team, the guys that have returned, some of the young players that have continued to emerge, decisions from guys to return, that had other opportunities, and the choice that they made to come be difference makers and leaders within this program, and definitely excited about the newcomers that have joined our football team and the way that they've just really come in and embrace the culture, really having a mindset to leave their mark, to be able to pour everything that they have in representing this incredible football program, institution, and our wonderful fan base. I'm honored to be here today with three great young men that will speak on behalf of our football team. Guys that have truly been through the journey, and for Jabril Rawls, a guy that I think is going to be one of the best corners in all of college football. A guy that has been at Florida State through coming out of high school. Has had his ups and downs dealing with injuries, but truly has emerged as a great player and just a wonderful representative of what it is to be a Seminole, and Deuce Robinson, I think one of the best receivers on all of college football. His choice to forego going to the NFL, to come back, to leave his mark, here, and truly just to go and help lead this football team, and be the best player that he can be. And then Ashton Daniels, coming in, joining the program in January, a tremendous leader, somebody that is truly all about the work, a great skill set, great talent, great ability, but has done a wonderful job. In a short time here in Tallahassee, representing this football program. We got an exciting team, a team that is, I think, is a very talented roster. As I mentioned earlier, it's a great combination of guys that have been here. Last year we had 19 true freshmen that played 4 more games. We were a young team. We had guys that really had to got thrown into the fire and really had to learn on the road, or on their road, as we went through, like I said, the highs and the lows. A year ago you lose 5 games by 1 score, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned. But it's about taking the lessons, and it's about the application of that moving forward to go be the best that we can be. We understand the expectation that's here, and there's no person, there's no place that has higher expectations than what we have. Being a part of this program and making sure that we're doing things the right way, the Florida State way, and competing for championships and all things that we do, and that is our expectation as we go into this season with a very talented roster and a great coaching staff that we've been able to assemble. You're seeing the continuity within the staff when you look at Coach White coming into his second year as a defensive coordinator. You're really excited about the personnel, excited about the staff, and under his leadership on that side of the ball, and really taking another step in our performance to what we're going to do defensively. Offensively, Coach Harris going to his second year within the program, and as our offensive coordinator, has done an outstanding job. You're putting his mark, within the program, as well as continuing to help develop the young men that we have. And then, obviously, the addition of Adam Shire as our special teams coordinator, somebody that is extremely innovative. A guy that's going to help put our guys in a great position to win in that third of the game. And so it's an exciting team. It's one that understands all that's in front of us. We've got a great opportunity, a great platform, and and obviously these guys are excited to get out on the field here in this next month and prepare for it here in fall camp, and ready to kick off in week 0 of this college football season.
Coach, your first question will be to the right side, 4th row, young lady right in the middle.
I'm doing well.
Host of variables amongst this team. You called this an exciting team. How do you capitalize on the conflation of talent in what feels like a strike now season?
Well, when you look at our roster, I mean, I think in all phases, from starting in the trenches of the guys up front, we were able to return a lot of guys on our defensive front. 4 of our top 6 defensive linemen have returned. Some guys that have great talent and ability. Being able to bring in a couple of newcomers that I think are going to be very dynamic in that. Great leadership at the linebacker position. Guys that have been through it, and so whether it's the transfers that have come in that have joined, they're very productive, talented players, as well as you look at in the defensive backfield. I think we got some great playmakers in that position, and guys with versatile skill sets going to allow us to do a lot of different things. And then offensively, starting up front, we were able to bring in, a good group of transfers that have joined that bring experience, coupled with the guys that we've had that have continued to grown and developed, as well as just an outstanding group of skill players with the receiver position, led by Deuce, guys like Mekhi Danzy, Javen Boggs, and some really impressive newcomers that have joined the program. Really love our running back room and running back and tight end room, and the versatility of what we're going to be able to do, and obviously that surrounds it with the quarterback that can truly make it happen. And we want to be versatile. We want to attack. We understand that with the talent that we have, I'm not going to put any limits to what this football team can accomplish and what we can do. And the time is now. The time is today. To the willingness to show up and go be the best that we can be. And if that's what we'll continue to do, I got a lot of confidence in the results that are going to show up.
Coach, left side, third row, all the way against the wall.
Hey, Coach, James Coleman, Den Media Group. FSU fans aren't just asking for wins, they're asking for consistency and championships. You've obviously won one. What makes this team different, and why should FSU fans be excited about coming up to this upcoming season?
Well, I love the mentality of this group. And, obviously there is you see throughout the journey, I mean, just the margin between victory and defeat. I mean, it's a very thin line, but it's about the mentality. It's about the response. It's about the work that you're willing to put in. Not getting caught up in all of the other things of that can surround you on the journey that we find ourselves on. But this football team, yes, they are talented. But what I love is their work, their camaraderie, the sacrifices that they're willing to make, and the way that they challenge themselves on a daily basis. Because as you mentioned, we have won one, and we went through a stretch. We won 19 straight games, and you were able to accomplish a lot of. And there were still a lot of close games, a lot of one-score games. The ebb and flow of what shows up, but it's the way that team came together, the mentality, what they brought, how they responded, throughout that journey that really set them apart, and I'm seeing that within this team. And this is a group that, from the players that returned to the guys that came in, we were looking for the right type of guys, guys that were going to represent our program and perform and execute at a level that is going to make our fan base proud in all things that we're doing. And this is a team that I do believe will rise to the occasion, from the coaching staff to the players, everybody involved in the program, to go make sure that we're doing things to the level of our expectation and that Florida State standard.
Coach, right side, second row.
Hey, Coach, Michael with Plant the Spear. You often talk about, the expectation, what it looks like, you've seen it done, you've done it, but 4 out of the last 6 years of your tenure here at Florida State have been losing seasons. What can you say to this fan base to make them believe that, yes, you can bring Florida State back to its traditional winning ways?
Well, in reality, the words don't matter. It's about the action, and that's our focus. And I could stand up here and you could say a lot of things, but it's still about what's going to show up, and that's what I believe in. And as we came into the program, 6 years ago, there were some challenges that we faced, and those first 2 years, they were, for all the different circumstances that showed up, we stayed focused on our path and the growth, the improvement, making sure that we were ready, for the moment, and we had players that bought into that. And as you get into the 22 and 23 season, a couple of the best stretches that Florida State, has, 19 straight wins was, I think, the second longest winning streak in program history. Being able to put ourselves in that position was something that had to be worked for. But it wasn't just because we talked about it. It was about what was done. And then, yes, the last 2 years, as college football has changed, as it's continuing to evolve, we have to be better. And this past season, we showed glimpses of playing at a very, very high level. Had some big wins, some some great moments, but also had some disappointing results in some close games and just opportunities that we did not capitalize on. So it's not about me giving a great speech or trying to say the things. It's about what we're going to show up and be willing to do, and that is the focus of this football team. That's the focus of this coaching staff. That's my focus, is pouring everything I have into them, into this staff, into the opportunity that we have in the 26th season. And as I said, I know what it looks like because we've done it. And I know the steps, and I know what we need to do to get back to that level, and I'm very confident in what it's going to be.
Coach, follow the center aisle up to the right-hand side, right on the edge.
Hi, Coach. Scott Morgan, South Florida Tribune. A couple days ago, you made a pretty good hire in Tom Herman. I say pretty good because I worked with him at Florida Atlantic, and I'll tell you the cupboard was bare when he was there. So how important of an was it to you to land a guy like Tom Herman as you go out there and prepare for the season, knowing he has head coaching experience, he's a proven winner, he's a good offensive mind, just a great coach personally. And looking at my hat, Motor City Madmouth, I bought him one before he left.
Well, being able to have the opportunity for Tom to come and join the program is something I'm excited about. He came in the spring, was able to come out to practice, visit with staff. Got some relationships. Obviously, I had to compete against him years ago, and when he was at Houston, I was at Memphis. So we got a long relationship. But for how things all transpired, we were able to visit a little bit this summer, and we found a role and an opportunity that I think he can make a great impact in helping support this staff, being able to add a different and new perspective just to things that he's done, and to be able to help assist the guys within our football team just to go and achieve at a very high level.
Coach, right side, right up the center aisle, just to the right.
How are you? Jesse from PlantandSpear.com. Last year, you stepped back into the CEO role, CEO by nature with Gus as the play caller. Now you're back as the primary play caller. What were some of the lessons that you learned last year, being able to just kind of observe from that high-level view that you can apply going this year to have a more successful season? Yeah,
I've been fortunate, throughout. I'm going into my I guess 11th year of being a head coach, and for me, most of those years were as a play caller, and as college football kind of emerged, and the different aspects of personnel, being able to step back, kind of focus and address needs that I felt within the team, and having a guy that I trusted was great, and to be able to see it wasn't unfamiliar. I had a long lasting relationship with Gus, and was grateful for the work that he did, but for me, it's every year is a learning process. Every year you're continuing to grow and mold and develop things for the guys that you have, and putting them in the best position. And I've been fortunate throughout my career to be able to do that at a very high level as a play caller, and being a head coach, and growing up on the offensive side of the ball. And so I'm excited about the group of players that I get to work with every single day, the playmaking ability that they have, and the positions we're going to be able to put them in.
Coach, we're going to squeeze in your last question, first row, right side.
Coach, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. How are you?
I'm doing good, Dan. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Transfer portal, obviously, you've gone there for the quarterback these last few seasons. What you saw, to go a little bit more specific, into Ashton Daniels, and why it's important to reach into the portal for that leader of the offense?
Well, I think Ashton is a guy that can really do it all. And, as we talk about experiences, Ashton's got a great deal of experience throughout his college career. He's been put in a lot of different situations that he's had to work through, and you see somebody that's just continued to grow. You see, as I did my research, getting to know him, and just the coaches that I work with and people that have been around him. There were so many just incredible qualities of the young man, the talent, the ability, and then when he joined the program in January, the words then become secondary because you see it in his actions, and just the passion that he has for who he gets to work with. He's not somebody that comes in having to wave the towel and give a speech, but when he talks, people listen because of all the things that they see from him. And as I even watching through 15 practices in spring ball, just his continued growth, and he's progressed, and I think has an incredible ceiling in front of him. A guy that's a natural playmaker, can extend plays, can live in the pocket, can make all the different throws, and a guy that's got a wonderful understanding of offensive football, being in a bunch of different systems, but incredibly smart, and an incredible worker as well.
Coach, thank you. You and Ashton can switch spots, and we'll spend about 5 minutes with our student athlete. Folks, if you would, please identify yourselves and the agency that you're with, and we will get to as many questions as we can. Ashton, your first question will come left side, fourth row, gentleman with his hand high in the air.
Hello, Ashton. Owen Hillman with the league winners. What was it about Florida State that made it feel like the right program and the right fit for you?
Yeah, I think it really just came down to the people in the program. Obviously, speaking with Coach Norvell, with Coach Tucker, Coach Malzahn at the time, and then obviously knowing Deuce and a couple of the guys previous to me making that decision, just having conversations with them. You just know they're the right type of people. You know they're the type of people you want to surround yourself with every single day. And that meant so much to me. I'm a relationship guy. I'm a people person. And then obviously, coming on my official visit, seeing how Tallahassee was, obviously Doak Campbell, the environment, the community, the culture inside the locker room, it was a no-brainer for me.
Ashton, right side, first row, all the way against the wall.
Hi, Ashton. Destiny with the Juice Network. How are you preparing yourself to get ready to play in one of the loudest stadiums in college football?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of experience, playing in a lot of different places that were very, very loud. And, I think we're going to go into, each and every week with a great plan, whether that be signals, whether it be, any type of communication, we're going to go into that week having a great plan. I confide in that. I confide in our team and our coaching staff, and we're going to be prepared for that.
Ashton, left side, fourth row, all the way against the wall.
Hey, Ashton, Stephen Bernard with the league winners. Coming out of Gwinnett County and Beaufort, you played for one of the most prestigious high school programs of all time. One of the things that described your game was leadership and winning. How have you taken those two attributes and poured it into the locker room here at Florida State?
Yeah, I think, when it comes to the quarterback position, I think those are two things that are very, very important. When things get hard, they're going to look to me as a leader. And I know that, and I own up to that every single day. And I know that, my actions on and off the field, in the locker room, in the community, everyone's going to see that. They're going to feed off that. And that's, how they're going to know me as a person. Just surrounding myself with winners, I think is – the biggest thing when it comes to winning. If you have a bunch of guys that will do anything to go out there and get the job done and get a win, you're going to win games. And I think, that's what we have here at Florida State. Everybody in the program's a winner. They want to win. And I think, that's so important, especially to feed to the young guys, to the new guys, who come into a program who don't really know, the ropes of things, how things go. Those are two such important things that, determine a winner and determine success in football.
Ashton, right side, second row.
Hi, Ashton. Thomas Christopher of the league winners. On3 recently released a ACC quarterback top ranking and left you off the list. Do you take that type of critique as like bulletin board material, and how do you handle negative critiques?
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff that it's such a hard thing to handle, because obviously you see that kind of stuff every single day. That's social media nowadays. That's football. That's how the world is. You see that kind of stuff. But I think, what separates the best players from the worst is how they handle that kind of stuff. If you sit there and you look at it and you sulk about it, you're not going to get anywhere from it. Obviously I saw that, but I don't care. People can say whatever they want to. I don't care. What's going to show is, like Coach said, the actions on the field. And, obviously using that kind of, like you said, as bulletin board material, that's in the back of my mind, but I want to win every single day. I want to show up to the facility, give my best every single day, and that's what I'm focused on.
Ashton, stay right there. The gentleman right next to him.
Kenton Gibbs with the Locked On Podcast Network. This is your third school in 3 years, and that's becoming a more common thing. So when you think about what you're seeing that's different inside of the Florida State Seminoles program, outside of not having a 6'6", 220, 1,000-yard receiver, what is different about Florida State than your previous programs?
Yeah, I think, kind of like I mentioned earlier, just the people. We have a team that I want to say over 50% is, newcomers. And the chemistry that we have right now, from winter workouts to the spring to summer, in the short time that we've been together, is like no other team I've been on. I mean, it's seriously like we mesh so well together. You got guys on your team that will die for their brothers, and I think that's so important. And when things get hard, when you have those games where it comes down to one play, one drive, That's what you count on is your teammates. That's what you look for. Who can I trust, on my team? You look to your left and right, and you can go out there and get the job done. And I think, that's the biggest thing. We just got a bunch of guys that just love each other. They love football. They love Florida State. And those three things combined right there, we can do anything with that.
Ashton, thank you. You and Jabril can switch spots.
Thank you.
And we'll spend 5 minutes with our student athletes. Again, folks, if you would, please identify yourselves and the agency that you're with. And Jabril, we will start left side. Gentlemen, second in, fourth row.
Jabril, Owen Hillman with the league winners again. What stands out to you about the transfers in the secondary this season?
What stands out to me is their work ethic and how they came in and were ready to compete at the start. So I feel like that's one thing that really stood out to me.
Jabril, right side, first row.
Jabril, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Defensive coordinator Tony White. Just what you like about his scheming, his style. How would you describe kind of his defense? And then secondly, what you like about his leadership?
His defense lets us be able to play fast, let us have our eyes on the quarterback. So I feel like it just makes us feel more comfortable out there, play more freely. And what was your second question again? I'm sorry.
Just what you like about his leadership style.
I love his leadership style. He just brings a lot to the table. He lifts his guys up every single day. Make sure that he gets the best out of us every day.
Jabril, right side, hard right, third row.
Hi, Jabril. Des Barnes with Pretty Girls Media. What is one thing or one lesson you've learned from any of your coaches that helps define your football career?
I'll say one lesson that I learned from Coach Norvell, just being my best every single day, giving my best every single day, no matter how I feel, no matter if I don't feel the best, just making sure that I can be the best version of myself every single day and make sure I take that one step every single day.
Staying on the right in front of her, second row.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On Podcast Network. Jabril, you go from being a guy that was impactful but young and out there just kind of, figuring it out on the fly to now being the elder statesman in the room because of the departures and whatnot. How have you kind of ingratiated yourself into that leadership role? And is it more so a verbal thing or is it just a lead by example and trust the guys to follow along?
I would say more so is just leading by example and having the guys come along as well. Last year I kind of was just going along with the flow. I wasn't as vocal and everything like that. But once I got the hang of it and knew that I can be one of the ones, I just felt like just me being able to lead by an example every day, how I come in and just showing the younger guys how to be the best, that's how to be the best version of themselves every day. I felt like that was it.
We're going to stay on the second row on the right there at the aisle.
Jabril, how's it going? Jesse from PlantTheSpear.com. So last year you guys were in a totally new scheme on the defense under Tony White, and he mentioned in the spring that you guys are doing things now that you weren't able to do until the fall last year. You've gotten ahead. How has being in year 2 of that defense helped you guys advance to be more comfortable in the scheme and perform better on that side of the ball?
It makes us play more freely. I feel like just going into year 2, being very comfortable with the scheme, just knowing all the ins and outs of the defense, it makes us being able to just play ball at the end of the day. So,
Jabril, left side, fourth row, all the way against the wall.
Hey, Jabril, Stephen Bernard with the league winners. You play at a school that's had some of the best defensive backs, not only in the history of the game, but also in the conference. Your physicality really stands out when we watch your tape. Talk about your mentality, taking that from last year and growing into your role this year with that physicality in the defense.
Yeah, the guys that came before me, Florida State, we produced a lot of great DBs with a bunch of physicality, and I feel like I fit right into that role as well. Just being able to look up to the guys that came before me and seeing how their game were and how they came about each and every game, I feel like just me being able to add that to my game solidifies me as one of the good DBs to come out of Florida State.
Jabril, your last question, right side, third row against the wall.
Hey, Jabril, Jay Jacobs with Greenville Sports Media. Last year, Florida State was ranked 133rd in the FBS in pass breakups. What is your group going to be doing differently this year to improve on that?
Just don't make the same mistakes as we did last year. Clean up the little mess that we had, and just playing ball at the end of the day. I mean, can't do too much differently. So I feel like just us being able to clean up the little mistakes that we had last year, and just going on from there.
Jabril, you and Deuce can switch spots, and we'll spend the last 5 minutes with Mr. Robinson. And we will look into the room, and we will go right side, Deuce, right here, second row.
Hey, Deuce. Thomas Christopher of the League Winners. You're hosting a pickleball classic to help the Special Olympics. Can you just talk about what went into that decision and why it's important to you?
Yeah, I've always felt like a special kinship to the Special Olympics. Ever since high school, a lot of our managers had been a part of the Special Olympics, and I just know how much sports means to them. You know what I mean? And seeing that, growing up around that, it just made me really close to it. And so, then I love pickleball. I know a lot of people love pickleball, and it just felt like it made sense, right? It felt like people would want to show up, be able to compete a little bit and have some fun, while also being able to give to something bigger than themselves. And so through that, I just want to give all the donations to the Special Olympics and hopefully bring some smiles to people's faces.
Do stay on the right side, second row, right towards the aisle there.
Hey, Deuce, Michael with PlantTheSpear.com. So you had a chance to get evaluated by the NFL. Obviously, that's your ultimate dream. What were maybe one or two things that you took away from that valuation that you're going to try to improve in this upcoming season?
Yeah, that's a great question. A couple of things that they had said they would love to see me improve my game upon. They would love to see me just be able to play a couple more positions, show that I can play all over the field instead of a lot of times last year I would just be, outside in the boundary. But this year they want to be able to see me all over the field, which is one of the great things about Coach Norvell and Coach Harris's offense is they put their playmakers in positions to win, no matter where it might be. And so I'm really looking forward to being a part of that offense. And then to go along with that, just being able to run a little bit more of the route tree. Last year I was running a lot of the same routes. And so just being able to show that I can be a complete receiver in myself and be successful at the next level. That's one of the main reasons I came back.
Deuce, left side, fourth row towards the wall.
Owen Hillman, the League Winners. How have you seen Danzy and Boggs improve and develop from year one into year two in the offense?
Yeah, those dudes they have ceilings about as high as I've ever seen, man. Danzy is going into his second true year of being a receiver. And so, he's still figuring it out on the fly. And I don't think a lot of people realize that about last year. Last year was his first year playing receiver, right? And he had the year he had. With that being the first time he's ever done it before. And so seeing his route tree expand, seeing him clean up his footwork, seeing him clean up his releases, he's going to be very, very dangerous. And then Boggs, just being able to become a little bit more comfortable in the system, getting a year under his belt. Obviously, he was able to play in some big games last year. He was able to have some big moments. But you've seen a lot of his maturity grow, like, up in his mind. The way he's mentally processing the game, the way he's carrying himself, the way he's even leading, speaking up throughout the room. Like, it's been really impressive to watch. And so I'm really excited to see those two guys grow. And I'm really excited to see our entire room, though. We have some young guys who have come in, started to kill it, especially throughout the spring. We have a couple more guys, a couple more sophomores, guys who are going to be redshirt freshmen and sophomores who are going to kill it. And so, ultimately, as a room, I think we have a very, very talented room, and I'm really excited to see what they do when fall comes around.
Deuce, your last question, first row, right side.
Deuce, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You've experienced different schools and then being at the same school with a different quarterback. So just the nature of change and how you've been able to adjust to all the change in your career.
Yeah, I think human life is about change, right? We get into a routine and then that routine gets broken. We have to adjust, we have to adapt, and we have to make the best with what we have, right? Like you said, I've been able to, this is going to be my fourth quarterback in 4 years. And Ashton is among the best. Ashton has been absolutely fantastic with everything he's done since the very first day he's shown up. I knew Ashton way before, and we had started to form a friendship, but ever since he's shown up on campus, that dude has been every single thing you would want in a quarterback. Obviously, on the field, he's one of the most athletic guys we have on the team, and his arm talent is through the roof. But then off the field, like his leadership ability, the way he connects with the guys, the way he carries himself, like the way he does absolutely everything is exactly how you want your quarterback to be. And so I'm super excited to see what he's going to do. I'm really excited about the energy around the team. It just feels different. There's a buzz, there's an excitement, there's just a buy-in, throughout the guys. You can feel it. Every single day, the guys are excited to come to work. And, the closer we get to camp, the closer we get to season, it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And so I personally can't wait to see what that's going to look like when camp comes around, and then ultimately what that's going to look like when season hits.
Deuce, thank you. Florida State, good luck.